everybody, and welcome back to the Bay Bolts channel. As always, my name is Jake Ricker, and unfortunately, we don't have Michael Wax with us as we get set to do the Tampa Bay Lightning round 2 preview as they get set to take on the Carolina Hurricanes. But I do have a very special guest with me returning to the show. It's the one and only Erik Erlendsson. You probably know him better as Lightning Insider. Erik, thank you so much for coming on the show. How you doing today?
I'm good, Jake, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate that.
Super excited to get into this. So let's start talking about what we got here. Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the Carolina Hurricanes in round 2 after defeating the Florida Panthers in 6 games. So the first thing is we always talk about in these previews is the series schedule. Unfortunately, though, we really don't have a schedule as we only know about one game so far, which is tomorrow. That's Sunday, May 30th at 5 p.m. I wouldn't expect the schedule to be too different from the last round where every other game is the other day. So game 1 Sunday, game 2 I would expect to be Tuesday if I had to guess, and so on and so forth. But who knows? We never know with the NHL. As for times, I have no idea. But game 1 starts on Sunday tomorrow.
Yeah, it's this is the NHL, right? They're waiting to see what's going to happen in Montreal, Toronto. Obviously, Game 6 is Saturday night, depending on when people are listening or watching this. And then if there's a Game 7, it sounds like no matter what happens in a Montreal Toronto game, that there will be a Canadian division game on Tuesday. So you can count on either Montreal Toronto Game 7 or Winnipeg Toronto Game 1. But it's how that affects the Lightning. Who knows? I mean, the good news is there's no building availability issues. You know, this is the reason why the Bruins are starting Saturday night, because the Celtics do have to play on Sunday. So that's why they got that game on the schedule first. But this series, I'll tell you what, this should be a lot of fun. As entertaining as that Florida Tampa Bay series was, especially game 1 and game 3 and game 4. And it was a lot of fun to watch that series. This one should be on an even different level because Carolina plays with a similar type of aggressive style. They really like to be in your face. The way they pursue the puck makes for an up-tempo game. We know Tampa Bay likes to play the game fast, not necessarily in a run and gun situation, but they like to play the game at a high pace. And you got two teams that like to play that way. Should make for a very entertaining series.
Yeah, I'm ecstatic. I mean, heck, for the first 2 rounds, the Lightning have had 2 great matchups from a perspective of an NHL fan against the Florida Panthers and now the Carolina Hurricanes. But let's talk about those previous games that the Lightning played the Hurricanes in the regular season. And of course, we have another 8 games to talk about with the weird division standings that we had this year. But the Lightning split the series with the Carolina Hurricanes this year 4-4. Game 1 went to overtime where Carolina won that one 1-0. Game 2, Carolina also won a shutout 4-0. And then game 3, 4, and 5, the Lightning came back a little bit. They won game 3 4-2. They won game number 4 3-0. Game 5 3-1 is a Lightning victory. Game 6, the Hurricanes take it back by a score of 4-3. Game 7, the second OT game of this series, the Lightning win it 3-2 in overtime. And then game number 8, Carolina wins that one 4-1. So these teams are pretty evenly matched, Erik. There's no question about that.
Yeah, and how about that weird schedule too? Because of the COVID issues that Carolina had, they were really about the only team. I think there was one game against Florida, but they're really the only team they had single games against. And then you had 4 games against each other, like in a row. So it was really kind of weird how all of that set up. But yeah, they are very evenly matched. I mean, even Rod Brindamore said it, John Cooper said it. I think even Don Waddell, the GM in Carolina, said just how evenly matched these two teams are. Close games. John Cooper called them intense games. I can't imagine what that's going to mean for postseason meetings before these teams. But the one X factor, the one major difference is number 86, right? Like he did not play in any of those regular season games, as we know. You saw the series he had against Florida, sets a franchise record for most points in a playoff series with 11. He is the difference maker. He makes Tampa Bay a much different team, not only from our perspective and watching this team every day, but from the opposing team's perspective and how you have to try and defend Tampa Bay with 86 in the lineup compared to without 86 in the lineup. So as close as those regular season matchups were with 86, we'll see how much of a difference, and I think it makes for the series.
There's no question that he makes a night and day difference when he's out there on the ice. We've seen that alone on the power play, but I would expect these games still to be close. It is the playoffs. Anything can happen. You never know. That's one of the reasons we love the playoffs so much in the NHL. But speaking of the team stats, let's take a look at how these two teams stack up. Now, the stats you're seeing on screen right now are the stats from round 1 for each team. So the Lightning on the power play in round number 1 against the Florida Panthers, 40% on the power play, which is, I believe, the second best in the league. Outstanding power play for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Penalty kill at 72.7% for the Bolts. Goals for per game, Lightning at 4, and goals against per game at 2.83. As for Carolina, their first round stats, 21.1% on the power play, 88.5% on the penalty kill. So much better on the penalty kill for the Carolina Hurricanes than the Tampa Bay Lightning. And then goals for per game is 3.67, and goals against per game is 2.67. So again, pretty evenly matched. The Carolina has advantage in 2 of those sections, where the Tampa Bay Lightning have advantage in 2 of them. But it seems like special teams could be a huge factor, especially with the Lightning power play up at 40%. And the Hurricanes penalty kill at 88.5. So both teams very good, respectively, on the penalty kill and the power play.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting with special teams, because we know how the NHL works. So you get a little bit deeper in the postseason, the whistles tend to go away a little bit more
That's true.
per round. We saw quite a few penalties that were called in the series, despite all the ones that were not called by the officiating. You've got 2 head coaches who both complained about the officials in the first round. John Cooper had his statements after Game 4. Rod Brindamore had his, I think, after Game 4 of the series against Nashville. Might have been Game 3 in terms of the unevenness of it. But special teams are a huge factor, and Carolina's already said it. They've watched Tampa Bay's power play. Much difference with 86 on the right than 91 on the left. It opens up space for Braden Point, who's in that bumper spot. So it's a much different dynamic with a full, healthy Lightning power play that can make a difference. And, the thing about the Carolina power play, when watching it, they move the puck so well. They don't hesitate. There's no hold and wait for it. They're looking to find an open seam as quick as possible. You can try and counteract that with, pressure on the puck, but it's easier said than done. So if Tampa Bay is going to let Carolina whip the puck around the zone, it can be trouble. We saw that, I think, when Carolina was on the power play during the regular season. They just looked dangerous every single time. But like I said, with the whistles, how it's going to be played out, I guess in typical NHL fashion, maybe we can expect 3 power plays per team per game and go from there.
That's a good way to put it. And you never know too. We could get some more calls where Nikita Kucherov gets shoved into the goaltender and he gets called for goalie interference too. Who knows? You never know with these officiating, especially come playoff time. But it's no question that special teams could be a huge factor if we do get even in a 3-3 even. Whichever team gets an extra goal on the power play could end up being the difference maker in some of these games. Speaking of difference makers, let's look at Michael's difference makers that he picked for this series. So starting off with the Tampa Bay Lightning, it's Barclay Goodrow, who returned for 1 game. You're seeing his regular season stats on the screen right now because, well, he's only played in 1 game and does not have any points as of yet. But in the regular season, Goodrow, 6 goals, 14 assists, and 20 points. John Cooper had a fantastic quote today. Eric, I'm sure you know about it, where he talked about Barclay Goodrow. He's not a Ferrari, but he's that 4x4 Jeep going down in the mud that can get it done for you, and that's what you need. So what do you think about Barclay Goodrow in this series?
Perfect description. It's a perfect description for what Barclay Goodrow brings to the ice, because, and he said it too after Game 6, that he's a glue guy too, right? Like, he just kind of bonds everything together, and his attitude, like, it just brings a different sort of attitude to the ice for this team, and his willingness to block shots. I chose him as my 3rd star of that game. He didn't put up any points, but he did have the 5 shot attempts. But you just watch the way he went about his business on the ice, his willingness to block shots. He can bring physical play. And we know how effective that line is with him, Yanni Gourde, and Blake Coleman. They were a huge difference last year in the playoffs. To see them back together on the ice, it kind of just evened everything out with how their line formation set up. And Goodrow was a big part of that. And you just watch his efforts and everything else. He's an inspirational player for the guys on the bench to watch, because he does so many little things that rarely show up on a score sheet. They're going to help you win games, and you need plenty of guys like that. He's not whipping the puck around the ice. He's not doing backhand sauce passes like Nikita Kucherov, but he's probably going to prevent 1 or 2, and that's just as valuable to a team.
No question about it. That could help out on the penalty kill for the Lightning as well. As we talked about, that penalty kill was kind of low for the Lightning in that first round, but Barclay Goodrow is a huge part of that. And you're right, in that game where he entered for the first game, I wanted to give him a star so bad, because you just noticed him out there on the ice. He was huge for the Lightning, and I can't wait to see what he does here in round number 2. As for the Carolina Hurricanes, Michael selected Jordan Staal, who has 4 goals, 1 assist for 5 points so far in the playoffs. No question about it. Jordan Staal can make a huge impact impact when it comes to playoffs. He's had a great start so far for Carolina.
Face-offs, penalty kill, power play, overtime goals, checking center. I mean, he checks all the boxes for Carolina, right? He's a valuable player. Leadership, as the captain. It's hard to believe he's actually been in Carolina longer than he was in Pittsburgh. Part of that success in the early or the late 2000s for that Penguins team. But yeah, he is he's a guy that's sneaky good, right? Like you see Sebastian Aho, you see Andrei Svechnikov, who, by the way, didn't have a very good series against Nashville. So keep an eye on him for this one. And Tara Vinen, who I don't think played in any of the regular season games between these two teams. He was part of that Chicago team in 2015 that beat Tampa Bay. But Jordan Staal is the guy that kind of leads the charge. And because of his importance and everything he can do on the ice, he is a guy that can make a difference. He certainly made a huge difference in that series against the Predators. The overtime goal, he had a goal in game one. I'm not even still sure how that puck found the net past UC Saros. But just a great leader by example, and he's like a Rod Brindamore player. Like, you think of how Rod Brindamore played the game, Jordan Staal kind of falls into that line a little bit with how his coach played.
Yeah, he's fantastic and can definitely make a huge difference. It'll be interesting to see how the Lightning handle him when it comes to this second round. Finally, let's take a look at my keys to the series for the Lightning. And number one I have on here is good start. And what I mean by that is not just in the game. Of course, you want to get off to a good start in the game, but a good start in this series. The Lightning are going to be headed to Raleigh, North Carolina, to start things off here, as they are the lower seed. The Lightning were able to take 2 from the Florida Panthers when they were the away team, which was huge for them to start off that first round. If they can take at least 1 to start things off in this series, I think that'll be a huge benefit for them, especially against a very good Carolina team. I also believe Carolina just upped their attendance as well, so that building is going to be loud and excited. For number 2, I have don't play defensive, because we have seen the Lightning multiple times in this series. They play defensive and it came back to bite them. They've got to try to avoid that at all costs, because every game is going to count. It did in the last round. It does in this round too, but especially against Carolina, and especially as teams only get better as you move on in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And finally, I have stay out of the box. Cooper said it a couple times in the last series. It killed their momentum a couple of times against the Florida Panthers, and especially against the Carolina Hurricanes, who, as we talked about, have a very good power play. You don't want to give them that opportunity.
Well, and the other thing is, too, to your point about, don't just defend. All you got to do is look and see what Nashville tried to do against Carolina in the last series. They had late third period leads in game 5 and game 6, and they tried to just rely on their goaltending. Look, Carolina's relentless. They don't stop at anything. They will just keep coming at you. But if you try and sit back and protect a lead, and you think about game 3 in the series against the Panthers, they tried to maybe sit back and rely a little too much on just playing defense, a little dump and change a little too often. You can't let Carolina keep coming at you and keep coming at you, because they are probably the best team. And I don't know the stats, but just watching them this year, coming back from deficits and multi-goal deficits, you need a puck possession game. If the Lightning are going to give up the puck as much in this series as they did against Florida, they might be in a little bit more trouble, just because of how Carolina can just keep pressing and pushing you. So you're right. Don't sit back and don't defend leads. If you have a lead, don't think that 1 goal is going to be enough, and really don't even think that 2 is going to be enough. Not that you need to force it, and we know that this team in previous years got into the habit of trying to force the next goal to come, but don't sit back either. You got to go and try out, extend the lead again, because Carolina will not quit.
Absolutely not. And the Lightning can do that themselves as well. So I think, for Carolina, they can't do the same either. Both these teams need to be offensive. But you're right. Carolina is fantastic when it comes to putting the pressure on. Predators blew a lead in game 6, had a chance to send it to 7. But all right, before we wrap this up, let's talk about series predictions. I had said in the last round, Lightning in 6 against the Florida Panthers. I got that one right. I would expect this one to go 7, though. I have the Lightning winning this one in 7, but this is a series that could easily go either way. The difference makers we talked about, taking penalties, all those little things could be huge. It could swing the series either way. It's going to be a close one. It's going to be a fun one. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, you like the Lightning's game breakers a little bit better than Carolina's game breakers, and that's not a disrespect to Aho, Svechnikov, anybody else, Dougie Hamilton. But when you get Braden Point, Nikita Kucherov, Steven Stamkos, Victor Hedman. There's more game breakers on Tampa Bay side than Carolina side. I think both teams are very deep at the forward position. Carolina might be a little bit deeper from 1 to 12 as opposed to Tampa Bay. And then the other difference is in goal. You know, Alex Nedeljkovic had a great year. He had a really good series against Nashville, but Tampa Bay's advantage in any series they go into is going to always give them the advantage in goaltending, and I think that's what it's going to come down to. If the games are close, and we expect them to be close, you have to like Tampa Bay's game breakers to make the difference, and the goaltending to make the difference. I think this is probably look. I could be completely off base here. Wouldn't be the first time. I think Tampa Bay can win this in 6 just because of that. But if you get to 7, that home ice for Carolina makes a difference. You know, they're going to be close to full capacity. They won't be at full capacity. I think they're going to be 15,000 plus. And we saw how raucous that was for the series against Nashville. It's going to be even amped up a little more. In fact, the game's at 5 o'clock on Sunday. Those guys might be out there tailgating in the parking lot already today as we're doing it to get ready for it to kind of rev themselves up. So either way, though, this is just going to be a fun, entertaining series, and I'm looking forward to it.
No question. The Lightning have actually not played in a game 7 since 2018 in the 3rd round against the Washington Capitals. So the Lightning know how to close things out before game 7. So I know they would love to do that again if they've got the possibility, but I like the prediction. It should be a fun one. And Eric, you mentioned the Lightning do have the advantage in the game breakers. Well, when we're 17 million over the cap, I mean, it's pretty easy for us to have all the superstars, right? No, I'm kidding.
Is it only 17 million?
It's only 17. I've only heard that about 20 times so far on social media, but nonetheless, guys, that's going to do it for us in today's video. I hope you did enjoy. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and ring that bell so you don't miss out on future videos just like this one. Thank you so much, Eric, for coming back on the show. We really enjoy having you back on. Where can people find you if they want to check you out on any other platforms?
Yeah, well, my Twitter handle is at Erik_Erlendsson. You can see the name there on the thing. So it's just an underscore between the first and the last name. Facebook page, same thing, facebook.com/Lightning Insider. The website, of course, is a monthly plan, which is $40 a year. Sorry, that's a yearly plan. A monthly plan is $4.99 a month. And I still have a going on. Anybody who signs up for a brand new monthly or yearly subscription, I'll get this right, yearly subscription before the end of May will be entered in a contest to win a copy of my book, a signed autographed copy of my book, Lightning Strikes. All you do is sign up. You don't need to put in a code or anything. Just sign up as a new subscriber. I'll find you. I'll put your name in the contest, and we'll get it from there. And then I have a podcast too. Myself and Greg Linnelli from Lightning Power Play put one together. We'll have a series preview as well coming up. So just anywhere you find podcasts, just look for Lightning Insider and you'll find it.
Highly recommend that podcast, and I'll link all of that stuff down below in the description. We've had Greg on as well. He's an awesome guy to chat with. So those two going at it I'm sure their playoff preview is going to be fantastic as well. But again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And remember, your defending Stanley Cup champions are still on their quest to defend their title.